Good evening. My name's Eric. Now I know you won't believe this, but I'm getting on. Some people put their longevity down to being non-smokers, non-drinkers, healthy eaters, and some folk take cold baths on a regular basis. Now last time I had a cold bath was when the gas boiler broke down. Have you any idea what shrivels up when you plunge yourself into a bath of cold water? So, what do I put my age down to? I've no idea. All I know is I get up in the morning and I'm delighted to be both vertical and ventilating. My alarm goes off at 7, which is a waste of time because I'm always up at 6. So why don't you change it to 6, I'm asked. Well, it could be superstition or fear. Okay, it's fear. I believe if I alter it, I might not wake up at all, and that, at the moment, isn't in my plans. Sometimes I could stay in bed longer, but I'm afraid my bladder can't. I used to spring out of bed at lightning speed. Now everything's in slow motion. But by the time I come out of the bathroom, I'm moving a little more, not exactly sprightly, but more easily as the joints click into place. Now my first job in the morning is to take 2 cups out of the cupboard and put the kettle on, and after it's boiled I sit by the window and enjoy my first cup of tea. On my second cup nature calls, and on my third my wife Pat calls. That's for her cup of tea. Anything else she used to call for is now a distant memory. Actually, it's not a call, it's more of a bellow. You see, at that time in the morning, I haven't put my hearing aids in. So attracting my attention, which you might be aware of with your own partners, can be extremely difficult. When we go out, I sometimes forget to put them in. Well, to be honest, it happens most of the time. And my good lady is bellowing all day. So Pat sucks a lot of throat lozenges. We don't even call them hearing aids at our house. We call them ears, as in, have you put your ears in? It's silly really, but there you go. When you think about it, how weird if you took your ears off before you went to bed. In my case, it would be glasses, hearing aids, teeth, and ears. That means most of me would be sleeping on the dressing table. Talking about ears, this happened recently, which ended in Pat telling me to go for a hearing test. And if you can find the logic in what I'm about to tell you, you're a better man or woman than I am. So a few months ago, Pat asked me what I wanted for breakfast, and I, without any hesitation, I responded. A few more moments later, she asked when I was having my Weetabix. I never said Weetabix. Yes, you did. No, what I said was I'd wait a bit. So I went for the hearing test, and believe me or believe me not, I was fitted with new hearing aids. Now looking at me, you won't believe this, but I'm on the pill. No, it's not what you're thinking. At my age, you must be joking. Viagra? I thought there were waterfalls in Canada. No, it's a pill for this and a pill for that. Statin is the only one I can name. The others are between 10 and 15 letters long, which only the people in the medical profession can pronounce. Why do they do that? I wonder if it gives them pleasure watching patients trying to pronounce them. Anyway, whatever they're called, I take them last thing at night. Now our house overlooks the town, and when I'm having my early morning cuppa, I can see people going to work, and I don't envy them. I used to, but not now. It's 1,000 years since I retired, but I remember so clearly what was said to me when I arrived home on that last day. Pat made it perfectly clear, and not in a nasty way, that I was now moving into her space and not her into mine. This was difficult to start with, but once I got the hang of it, to her routine, not mine, then things settled down. When I'd retired, Pat asked me what I was going to do with all my spare time, with the emphasis being on the word all. I mentioned I would like to paint, maybe like the French Impressionists, Monet in particular. Very nice, was the reply, but perhaps you could start by becoming an emulsionist, and for your first commission start with the back bedroom. Well, you know, I gave that room a beautiful, brilliant white ceiling and cream walls. It looked quite nice once I'd got all the blobs of paint out of the curtains and carpet. Now, before some of you start to feel sorry for me as the henpecked or downtrodden husband, I'm not. Nothing could be further from the truth. Pat and I have a great relationship. It's just that on occasions we aren't quite in tune with one another. Or it could be I'm not in tune with her. Anyway, disputes are sorted very quickly with an apology, which normally comes from me. After one border incident, Pat came out with this great old poem. Women have many faults, men have only two. Everything they say and everything they do. Well, I can honestly say that didn't please me, which resulted in me coming back at her with some unrelated childish rubbish. I said, I have something that you haven't. Really? Came the reply. My mum told me, Eric, with what I have, I can have what you have any time. I thought, think again, girl. You're not going anywhere near my Eagle annuals. According to a lecture I listened to, ladies' brains are active all the time, processing and analysing data, interconnecting and communicating with all the other apartments and compartments or boxes in the brain, so they can make thousands of decisions every day. The ladies' brains never stop working. They're always whizzing about. It's quite amazing when you think about it. Now, men's brains are different. Yes, I know, yes, we do have one. Ours, like yours, consist of boxes, but ours don't seem to interconnect in the same way as yours do. Can I give you an example of how interconnection differs from never give it a thought connection? Pat, I'm going to paint the garage door. Well, about time. And then, after you've finished, what do you think? Well, it looks okay, but why didn't you paint the window whilst you were at it? Window? Because I said I was going to do the garage door. Now, this is where the conflict happens. To me, one door, newly painted, job done. However, from somebody else's perspective, well, after the garage door, you could have done that window, then tidied the garage, because this stuff in there hasn't seen light of day for 20 years, and it never will. Only yesterday I saw an old pair of binoculars without any glass in them. What's all that about? I think you need to do a tip run. Oh, do you know, I wish I'd never started that door. Anyway, we men have one box that you don't have. This box is a free spirit. It refuses to communicate with any of the others because it isn't interested. A true independent if there ever was one. Now then, ladies, you know about this box. It infuriates you, can drive you to despair, and on occasion probably sends you bonkers. So, what is this box? Well, ladies, it's the nothing box. You say, what are you going to do today? And we say, nothing. I'm heading for the nothing box. Be honest, ladies, when the nothing box is mentioned, have you, if only for a brief moment, considered violence? I'm sure you have. Now, usually we do some housework in the mornings. I'm allocated certain duties. I sometimes do the bathroom, followed by a close inspection. I'll vac round of it, followed by a close inspection. I'll tidy the kitchen up, followed by a close inspection. I once plucked up the courage to ask what she was doing other than inspecting what I'd done. I've never asked again. Washing and ironing doesn't fit in with my philosophy, and neither does changing the duvet cover. I can't handle all those corners. Then in the afternoons we go out. Sometimes we have a destination, and sometimes we don't. Once or twice a week we head off to the supermarket. Now, when you ladies make out your shopping list, you know the one I mean. The one you sometimes leave on the sideboard instead of putting it in your bag. When you make that list, do you have your own codes for various items? Well, we do. Here's a couple. 2 lob of pot. Yes, pot. But I don't mean cannabis. 2 lob of pot in our house is 2 pounds of potatoes. We haven't got round to kilos yet, although we mention it from time to time. Now, Bletchley Park couldn't decipher this one, which is in capitals. W-U-P, known affectionately as whoop. Are you ready for this? Whoop is washing up liquid. Simple when you know. The other day, before setting off to the supermarket, I was asked if we needed anything. Now, before I proceed, have you ever been asked a question which you know the answer to but won't give it? Because knowing the person asking the question already knows the answer. If that sounds complicated, let me clarify. Here's what happened. Pat asked me if we needed anything from the supermarket. Yes, I said, toilet rolls. And she said, yes, we do, because you're using far too much. Tell me, Eric, what you doing with it? I thought, come on, Pat, take a wild guess. Oh, and whilst we're on the subject of food, when Pat and I were first married, she used to make me a sandwich and to take to work for lunch. It was called putting up, a job she hated. Regrettably, one day I said, I like crab paste. So anyway, after having it every day for a fortnight, I felt I had to say something. So I asked, not in an obtrusive way, you understand, if it would be possible to have something else. Why, came the reply, you like crab paste. I know, but after 14 days it's becoming monotonous. And another thing, I'm starting to suffer side effects. And Pat said, what side effects can you get from crab paste? Pat, I've started to walk sideways. Shortly afterwards, I left that company and moved to one that had a canteen, which came as a relief to both of us. Now, my hands are on the wrong arms for do-it-yourself, and the paint on the curtains and carpet proved it. This became apparent early in life when I was at school. It took me 18 months to make a stool in the woodwork class. However, not too long ago, I attempted to put the record straight and joined an evening class for joinery. I'm afraid the years hadn't made me any better. The bloke teaching us must have been a doctor in past life because he liked to use long words. Anyway, he says to me, your dovetail joints are catastrophic. Catastrophic? Crap would have done, because that's what they were. Anyway, I thought, now don't give up, Eric. Don't throw the towel in. Be a man. Keep going. And you know, I did. And it was the longest 15 minutes of my life, and then I left, telling him dovetail joints didn't fit in with my philosophy. Now, I'm normally a happy soul, but sometimes when I'm having my early morning cuppa, I tend to think about the future, which is heading towards me at an incredible speed. Some of you may feel the same, and for those that do, I'm sure you have your own barometers to prove the point. Now, for me, it's a simple thing. I'm certain I take that wheelie bin out every day, but it seems I only do it once a week. Digressing for a moment, now I have a steep drive, and when the wheelie bins first came out, it was the middle of November, and I just happened to ask the bloke if I could have one fitted with winter tyres. Some people never have a sense of humour, do they? Anyway, right, back to the future. I know we can't do anything about it, but it would help if I could put it on hold for a while, so I have time to adjust for what's waiting round the next corner. Now, Pat and I do so much together, and unfortunately, I realise that one day, one of us will be doing things alone. And if it's me, I'm scared. When I think about it, it's the little things that upset me. I mentioned taking 2 cups out of the cupboard every morning, and one day it could be only the one. Now look, I know millions have had to walk this path, but to be honest, I don't find that any consolation at all in that. Am I brave enough to face the uncertainty of it all? I don't know. Hey, then again, I might go first. And in fact, I will be first. Sorry, Pat, I know I'm a selfish bugger, but I've made my decision. Me before you. There, job sorted. A little earlier I mentioned hobbies. So what else did I try? Oh yes, I finished my first book, which took me about a year. My friends think I'm a very slow reader. Then I thought I'd have a go at philandering. I soon packed that in. Not much going on in the butchers. I'm joking, really. Me a Casanova? Never in a million years. A lady of ill repute once asked me if I wanted super sex. I said at my age I would settle for the soup, if it was going to be tomato. We're very fortunate to have grandchildren, with ages ranging from the 20s down to a 7-year-old grandson, who we regularly take to school. One day, his mum asked him who he preferred driving him to school, Grandad or Nana. And he said, "Oh, Nana, because when Nana's driving, we don't meet as many knobheads or pillocks." What the heck dickens does that mean? Anyway, what am I going to do today? Well, I'm going to try and put my socks on without falling flat on the bed. And if I have to pick up anything off the floor, I'll try to get up without crawling to the coffee table for its support. I might shoot off into the nothing box. Then again, I haven't had a word with Pat, and she might have other ideas. Oh, sorry, I must go. Someone's calling for a cup of tea, so I need to put the kettle on. See you all. Bye.